Hey guys, I'm Dimension Jump and today I'll be ranking all of the power-ups from Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 from worst to best. Now, the Mario series has a wide variety of different power-ups, ranging from the iconic power-ups like the Fire Flower, the power-up mushroom, and the invincibility star, all the way to games like Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 with items like, or power-ups like with the Bee Mushroom or the Cloud Flower and a variety of other power-ups in between. And yeah, this video is just going to be me ranking all the power-ups that you can collect within Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 from my least favourite to my favourite, but basically depending on how useful they are and how much they are, kind of how much they appear in galaxies, but mainly their usefulness and how much I have fun with them when playing through a particular galaxy. So yeah. So starting off with number 9 being the worst is the Ice and Fire Flowers. Now the Ice and Fire Flowers in the Mario series offer kind of similar attributes, kind of ish, depending on which game you're playing. Because if you played, let's say, for example, New Super Mario Bros. Wii, they are pretty much a palette swap. They're basically just you throw either a fireball or an ice ball. Now, in Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, with the Ice Flower, you basically can skate upon ice as well as lava, whereas with the Fire Flower, it keeps its fireball original power-up. The problem with this is that they are both timed. They're one of the few power-ups that makes you timed within the galaxies that you use them in. And I'm not a huge fan of either of these two power-ups because of their timed, and they put you a bit under pressure. And I have said in previous videos that I'm not a huge fan of having pressure put on. Like, for example, you have the 3-day time limit in the Majora's Mask, where with the whole of that game is that you have 3 days to beat everything, and as well as 100%ing everything. And I'm not a huge fan of doing the whole time thing and trying to do everything and seeing if I have enough time to do stuff. But with our Fire and Ice Flowers, it's just that you're timed, and it just feels like I think it's just mainly due to the fact that they're timed. They are useful within the galaxies they're used in. For example, in the Fire and Ice Galaxy in Mario Galaxy 1, with the Ice Flower, you can use it to skate across the lava platforms in the final part of, I think, the final mission of that galaxy, or the final regular mission of that galaxy. And then with the Fire Flower, you can use it to light up torches and stuff, as well as take out enemies. But overall, they're just timed, and I'm not a huge fan of that. So yeah. For number 8 is the Spring Mushroom. Now with this mushroom, it's first used in Mario Galaxy 1 in Toy Time Galaxy, and this power up is obviously not one of the best power ups in the game. It does have some uses, like it can make you jump higher and get to higher platforms. But as a power up as a whole and how it's used, it's a bit of a. But I would say, in my personal opinion, a bit of a glass cannon. It has its uses, but the way it's used is kind of its own problems, because you might want to try and get to a higher platform, but your timing on your jumps might be off, and it can be a bit hard to control at times. I think the Switch version of Galaxy 1 and 2, I think it handles the power up a bit better, but as a whole, it feels like a bit of a glass cannon, and you have to really time all of your jumps perfectly if you want to use it to its full potential. So yeah, it had its moments, but it could have been a bit better. So yeah. For number 7 is the Red Star. Now this power up is only used in 2 areas, that being the galaxy that you find it in, that being Gateway Galaxy, and the Comet Observatory. And like with the ice and fire flower, this one is timed. And again, I think with the red star it's okay, but I don't mind it being timed. It just means that with the level that you get it in, it means you have to find another red star to try and chain it long enough to get all of the purple coins that you get within the galaxy. And as a whole, it's okay. I think it's really cool. I do like the whole color scheme that you have with Mario's outfits, with it being like a sort of black sort of outfit, like with this hat and overalls, and then you've got like a red sort of undershirt, which is quite cool. I do like how you can like aim with it, and when you aim, you can see like red lines like helping you and guiding you. But I think what would have been cool with this power up, if this one was higher up on the list, was that if it could have been in a few more galaxies, as well as being in Mario Galaxy 2, because it's not in Mario Galaxy 2, and it would have been a lot cooler if it had more potential. So yeah. For number 6 is the Invincibility / Rainbow Star. Now this power up is the Invincibility Rainbow Star. Well, the Rainbow Star is, the official title is the Rainbow Star, but it acts like an Invincibility Star in that anything Mario touches is basically knocked away and is defeated. And the after images are different colours of Mario, which is why it's called the Rainbow Star. And I'm basically calling it the Invincibility Rainbow Star is because they're pretty much the same power up, but with different names. And with this power up, it does have some uses in Mario Galaxy 1, but I don't really remember the amount of galaxies that it's used in. I think I remember it being in the Honey Hive Galaxy, but I don't really remember any of the other galaxies that do use the Rainbow Star. Then it's brought back in Mario Galaxy 2, but this time it's mainly used in some of the optional separate galaxy planets that you get to do, and where you basically fight a bunch of enemies for a few seconds, and then you're taken away back to the main course of the level. And in some of those areas, you do get to have a Rainbow Star, and I think that is used a whole lot better in Galaxy 2 than in 1, in my opinion. I just think, as a whole, in the first Galaxy game, the Rainbow Star isn't as used as much as it is in some of the galaxies in Galaxy 2. So yeah. For number 5 is the Spin Drill. Now the Spin Drill is only used, I believe, in two or three galaxies, if I remember correctly. And this power up is quite fun. I do like the idea of the power up as a whole, because it's pretty much just a spin drill, but you just go through particular galaxy or particular parts of a galaxy and come out the other end, and that's really cool. And you can use it to do that, or to hit enemies with. And I think the best example is with one of the bosses in one of the early galaxies in the game, as well as using them on giant Koopa Troopers in Big Time Galaxy. And yeah, you can use them in a variety of cool ways, like how you use them. And yeah, I think overall it's a cool ability and a power up. And it's kind of like if you've played Super Mario Wonder and you get this spin mushroom, and I think the spin mushroom is kind of like an extension of the spin drill, where you can use it to go through particular areas of the level, but in a 2D sense. But as a whole, I think the spin drill is a really cool and interesting power up. So yeah. For number 4 is the rock mushroom. Now with this power up, it basically, every time you do a spin attack, it makes Mario turn into a giant ball or a giant boulder, and it basically just you basically just go around smashing up a bunch of enemies until you hit a wall or a fence, depending on which galaxy that you're using the power up in. And yeah, I think this is probably a better version of the spring mushroom, in that with the spring mushroom it was kind of hard to control at times, because you mainly had to time your jumps and stuff, and it would be hard to tell where you would land. I would say that the rock mushroom is a better version of that, in the sense that you kind of have a bit of better controlling it where you need to go. It can have a bit of a hard time turning sometimes, depending on how large the arena is in. But as a whole, I think I do like how it's used, and I do like how unique this particular mushroom is, because this mushroom, it has like one of the unique abilities of just making you turn into a giant, just boulder, and just obliterating all your enemies in front of you. And it does have some usefulness, like with some of the comet stars and some of the bosses, and especially with some of the levels, because in one of the later stages in the game, you have to basically only use the rock mushroom, and it's on this sort of like small sort of course thing, and I had to like time your jumps for particular areas, as well as trying to turn to make Mario bounce off particular fences and stuff like that. But as a whole, the rock mushroom is a quite cool power up. So yeah. For number 3 is the Boo mushroom. Now this basically turns Mario into a Boo, and you don't really get to see a whole lot of power ups do that in the Mario series, where you become an enemy. And there's probably people going to be saying, "Oh, what about Mario Odyssey?" That technically counts, but that's more of like you're capturing the enemies in Mario Odyssey by using Cappy. But with I'm mainly talking about the Boo mushroom as a power up or as an item as a whole, in terms of when you use them in particular areas of the game. And with the Boo mushroom, it is useful. I do like how you can phase through particular areas, and it does have a cool floating mechanic. I do like how it's just a quite floaty, light type of power up when you use it, and it is good with I think when you're racing against the Racer Boo in one of the galaxies. And yeah, I think it's really quite cool, and I do like how whenever you turn to Boo Mario or Boo Luigi, depending on who you're playing as, you do get to see like the mustache on their face, and as well as them keeping the cap. That's quite cool. I think it's like a really cool, hilarious type of power up. So yeah. For number 2 is the Cloud Flower. Now this power up makes Mario's jumps a bit more floaty, as well as giving him the ability to create 3 cloud platforms at once. Now this is one of the more, or one of, if not the most, one of the most more useful or powerful-ish power-ups in the game, or in Mario Galaxy 2, because it's just, you're given a bit of an edge. Like if you're going through a particular level that does have the Cloud Flower in it, and you're about to fall into a ledge, you're able to create a temporary platform for a bit, and then you can just like long jump, and then create another platform, and then create your final platform if you do another one after that. And yeah, I think this is really, really useful, and it's really useful in a lot of the galaxies that use it, especially with the Bowser Jr. fight towards the end of the game in World 5, I believe, because that's the level with his Doomsday Machine, and that uses the ability of the Cloud Flower to make sure that you get to where Bowser Jr. is. And it's just a really good, useful way of using your power, because with Mario boss fights, you don't typically use power-ups a whole lot in a lot of fights, because a lot of the time it's just jump on the enemy's head and then that's it for like the whole fight. But with the Bowser Jr. Doomsday Machine boss fight, you actually get to use the Cloud Flower, and you have to basically just try and avoid all of the fire bars and the all the electricity, the T-fires, and making sure that you don't get hit by electricity whenever he's doing those attacks. So yeah, as a whole, the Cloud Flower is just such a useful ability to use. So yeah. And for number 1 is the Bee Mushroom. Now the Bee Mushroom is probably my favourite Mario power-up in the whole series, as well as in the Mario Galaxy games, because you get to dress Mario up as a bee, and it looks really cool, and it looks really because it's basically just a bee. It's just really cool, and I do like how you do have a limited amount of flight, which I think is quite cool, because then it doesn't make it overpowered. Because if you had unlimited flight, that would just break the game as a whole. Where we're in the galaxies that do use the bee mushroom, and I do like how whenever you have the bee mushroom on, you do get to climb honeycombs, which is really cool. And it's really cool in the galaxies that use them, like Honey Hive Galaxy and Honeycomb Galaxy, that do use the bee mushroom. The only downside is that whenever you're in honey that's on the floor, so a good example is in Honey Hive Galaxy, in the first mission that you do in that galaxy, you just walk slowly like you're just trenching through mud, and that's kind of annoying, because your bee, you should probably just walk normally through it. But it could just be like, oh, we do want to make this power up too OP, and yeah, I kind of see why, if they were going in that sort of direction, like, oh, it's a mushroom or an ability that allows you the abilities of a bee, let's not make it too overpowered. So yeah. But as a whole, the bee mushroom is such a really cool power-up, and I do like how it's used within the galaxies that do use it. So yeah. So that's been me ranking the power-ups from Super Mario Galaxy 1 and 2 from worst to best. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.